Hello and welcome to the Down Under Visa Philippines to Australia podcast series. I'm your host, Jeff Harvey, Registered Migration Agent with Down Under Visa, the premier Australian migration agent in Manila, Philippines, specialising in visas for Australian Filipina couples. We hope you enjoy this podcast and hope it proves useful to you. Please feel free to share this with your partner and with any of your interested friends. Let's get started. Visa requirements. Getting a list of what you need. Now, you need a visa from Philippines to Australia for your Filipina sweetheart. And that means there will be an application form and some visa requirements, right? There's a list of documents you need to collect, and you can get that from the migration agent. Then once you get everything, you let him know and he can fix up the rest of it, right? So you should email the migration agent and ask, what are my requirements, right? Wrong. And on we go from there, continuing on, or work it out from the department website. Put it all together, then present them to Jeff Harvey and say, I've done everything already, right? All I can say is that in all my years of practice, I've never once had a client come in to me with everything ready, and I've had lawyers and many other professionals as clients. Now, visa requirements is not one size fits all. This is the first mistake, and I suppose it's natural enough. Now, there are travel agents who hand out lists of visa requirements on request, and they pretty much leave you to it. But I would hope that no professional registered migration agent who knows their job would ever do that. And why? Well, what does a migration agent do? In short, we gather your information and we present a strong case to the department so they grant you a visa. That's in short. At length, well, we assess you and your situation, your hopes and your dreams. We advise on a suitable visa that will realistically match your expectations. Then we gather all of your important information. Now, Down Under Visa does this by detailed questionnaires. We present, if it's a tourist visa, we present you with a single questionnaire. If it's a partner visa, there is a questionnaire for the sponsor and one for the applicant. And we give you a personalised and detailed to-do list which explains what documents and relationship evidence we need from both of you. I suppose I was just thinking then, imagine if you went to a lawyer and said, okay, I've been charged with murder, or I've been charged with embezzlement or something, and I want you to keep me out of jail. What are my requirements? And they handed you a list and said, right, go off and collect all these, and we'll use this to prepare your case. You'd have a fit. My goodness, and rightly so. And it's exactly the same situation here. So, yeah, that's what we do. We give you a list, but it's a personalised and detailed list, and it's based on your own situation, on your own case. There is no one size fits all, or certainly not, how a professional would do it. It's like a do-it-yourself guide versus a professional doing something. You can go and get you go off to the tile shop or something. They're going to have a brochure sitting there saying, how to tile your kitchen splashback or something like that. You can follow those directions and then do a terrible job. I suppose it's much the same. If you say, what are my requirements, that's asking us to give you a brochure. But we don't work like that. And on from that, we give you clear guidance on how to collect the information and the relationship evidence that we will need for the application. And then what we do is we receive and we check the documents and relationship evidence. We check them all for accuracy, for suitability, for quality and for quantity. So we don't just take your word for it that you've gathered up everything that you need. We check all that over and we look and see, is this going to help their case? Is it going to help them a lot, or is it not going to help them a little bit? Or is it going to not help them at all, or in some cases, is it going to completely shoot them in the foot? Because sometimes that's exactly what somebody's collected information would actually do if we didn't check it and we simply sent it in based on a one-size-fits-all list. So then once we have enough solidity, enough guts basically for an effective application, we complete your application forms, we finalise and lodge your visa application, and then we monitor progress and we communicate with the embassy when required, and see the application through to finality. Yeah, so handing out generic requirements which may or may not match what you need, and then hoping the client works out what parts of the list match their own situation, well, it certainly does not match the way the Down Under visa does things. Now, visa requirements, take note of this. In a blog article, I've got this in bold. Visa requirements are 80% plus of the substance of the visa application. 80%. Okay, it's not filling out the form. That's a small part of it. It's getting your information correctly. That's a big part of it. But then the actual evidence that we send, that's the stuff that they look at to deduce whether or not you do have a genuine visa application, which means whether you do actually have a genuine relationship on which that they're happy to grant a visa. Okay, now visa requirements. So yes, exactly, the application form is mostly just the nuts and bolts of who you are, your name, your date of birth, plenty of trick questions, yes, but it's not the form in itself that convinces them of the genuineness of your relationship. It's the documents and the evidence. In other words, the requirements that gives the substance to the application. This is why it's something that we take very, very seriously, and we don't hand out generic lists to people who request them. Okay, so simply being engaged or even being married, it's not enough in itself. The problem is there are sham marriages out there. There are those who will pay an Australian to marry them and then follow it up with a divorce later, of course, in order to get the right to remain in Australia. And there are also ladies, and I use that word loosely. They're women, they're not, they don't act like ladies. So let's just say there are women who will prey on lonely Australian men to try to get into Australia. And this is why there is so much checking and verification of facts. Now, never think that you just need to supply the basics on a basic brochure. If they are not absolutely convinced, then you will get a refusal. And statistically, you have between 1 in 5 to 1 in 4 chance of not getting a partner visa. Okay, so yeah, in other words, it's not a formality. It's not just tick the boxes and slap the form in like renewing a driver's license. There is substance to it. So therefore, a lot of work is put into making sure all the documents are correct, so there is no doubt about the identity and character of the applicant, but especially that relationship evidence, so they can see that a real relationship evolved naturally. In other words, that you didn't just, meet each other in a bar last week and think, well, what the heck, let's make a go of this. I'm lonely, you want to come to Australia, what the heck? That's not what the whole thing's all about. So that's the point, is they're wanting to see the things that will happen when there is a real relationship. These things just fall into place. In other words, like if there's a real relationship, you're not going to not talk for a month or go, well, look, we had nothing to say, so we didn't talk for a month. That doesn't happen when there's a real relationship. A real relationship, goodness me, everything that happens, you want to communicate that. I used to be off on business trips, and I'd have a writing pad with me, and I would sit in motel rooms out in the bush somewhere, and I'd start writing about things that happened during my day, because it was just natural for me to want to tell my lady what had happened during the day, as I would if I just come home at the end of the day. In other words, that's the type of thing they're wanting to see. They're wanting to see if this is real or not. Now, a partner visa and tourist visa, professional like Down Under visa, knows what they want to see, and they know better than to try to shortchange them. Now, the issue is that the case officers who make the decisions, now they sit on the 23rd floor of the Australian Embassy in Manila, or they sit in an office somewhere in Australia, depending on where it's lodged, and they make life-changing decisions about people they've never met, and they have the answers you've given them and the documents, photos, letters, etc. that you've sent them. Now, when it comes to tourist visas, refusals more than not occur because they simply can't get you in your situation because you presented your case poorly. Most of the time, I can see this very clearly. I see refusal letters. Refusal letters will normally, the decision record they call it, that part of it will normally have something there where it says what you submitted with the application. And I can see that, and it doesn't take me very long at all because I've been doing this for a while. I take one look and I go, you're right, yeah, I know why this was refused. Okay, not enough information. They don't, it's not because they've written you off and said they don't like her, they don't like you, because they're terrible racists or something like that, which they're not. They're really, really not. It's because they're not convinced. You haven't presented a good enough case. And why would you do otherwise? For most people, this is their first time, so why on earth would you know what they want to hear? The fact is, we do. Because we do this all the time, and we do have a very high success rate. Now, one more point, no freebies. Now, this is important in addition to the fact that quality applications don't come from generic checklists and beginner's luck. We do also need to make a living. Got a lovely wife, house full of kids here. I've got staff to pay. We need to make a living. Now, there are plenty of brain pickers out there. There are plenty of unscrupulous people who think it's okay to ask a professional registered migration agent to tell them how to do something for free. We've even had people come to the Down Under Visa office with a list of 20 questions so they can work out what they think they need in order to lodge their own visa application, and they will think it's perfectly fine to take up an hour of my time for free so they can do their own application. And to give you detailed and personalised information on how to prepare a visa application so you can benefit from our help without paying, again, we need to earn a living. The children won't feed, house and educate themselves, and it's not just a standard list that's one size fits all. It's personalised and very detailed, and it comes with a mountain of supportive information telling you how to get it correctly. And then to check all of the visa documents and prepare and present a really strong case for you, no one is getting that handed to them either for free. Decent people understand this, of course. As most wise people discover over their lives, better to use an expert, subcontracted out to somebody who knows what they're doing, give the task to somebody who does this all day, every day, and has the runs on the board. Okay, I hope that's all clear. Hope that makes sense. Look forward to helping you with your application. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of the Down Under Visa Philippines to Australia podcast series. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope you found this useful. Australian visas from the Philippines are not easy and the outcome matters, as you well know. Please feel free to contact us anytime if you need some further help. And we look forward to talking to you again next time. Bye-bye.